just press that button.
Press that button. Everyone get their
Right.
Just Demi,
Test take.
start recording, right? So basically what we're going to do is, if you want to take the hot seat just now for a sec, and then you could probably ask a couple of intros, and then you could open the audience to any questions, right? Because I think we're just going to go natural. It's the best way format. Just press record. You can move it around if you want. You can move it around if you want. But I would keep it like static for a few seconds and then just move it as you go. Say again? Cheryl, you can do as you please. You want to be part of the audience, is even better. If you want.
Check that as well, see if that's...
But what you can do is even you can nip out the audience, change the view.
Yeah, just you'll need to swing it back a wee bit.
No, it'll be alright. It'll be enough. Give it a few minutes and then just switch it about. So have you got the other batteries there anyway? Yeah. Alright, cool.
52 is good.
I would take it there for a few seconds, leave it there, and then just hold the camera there as you go, and then move it around, and then just sit part of the audience if you want. I think so. Right, smiley faces. Smiley faces. It's not doing me going yet. The podcast isn't live yet. Don't be soon.
Ready? Let's do it, man.
Dan, move in a bit maybe.
How far in? Just to your...
You've
Do you want me to
maybe.
Yeah, just about there.
Just couple.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Right, let's go. Let's do this.
Probably introduce who we are.
Do you know the cast? No, in fact, I thought the cast would look good. The
We could
audience
get
would
the
look good
cast.
there, but maybe you just don't want to show too much. That's
No,
fine.
that's fine. That's fine.
Right?
We'll start.
Yeah.
Demi,
I'll
sit
get
back
a mic even, by the way.
if you want. Do you want to sit at the back?
We just have a mic. Let's go look funny then.
Switch the mic. Just switch it. It's not.
I just hold it like that.
Just switch it. That's just switch it. No.
But then he's going to.
No, no. Once you
It's
switch,
better for me. Give me this mic. Give me your mic.
yeah, we'll switch it.
Give me your mic. And what I'll do, see when he asks, then I'll just move it around.
Yeah, yeah,
Come in a
cool.
second.
I would take the. You can do the footage from this side. So
No, I think. Does it look cleaner without the young lady behind us, or should we have
she's
an
going to take
apprentice?
footage from that.
Sorry?
She's going to take footage from that.
All right, all right.
So we're going to get
All
four
right.
angles in.
But she's going to be coming in the frame.
Do you want anything?
I mean, at the moment she's in it.
Alejandro?
Yeah, it looks like she's.
Is it good? Is it good? All right, let's go. Sorry.
Not in a bad way.
We'll just stick to the front right now. What you could do is you could take it from that side. Yeah.
So at the moment,
Bro, they're saying it's not looking good. So just if you want to go over there, hey, let's go. Let's roll this. Come on, let's go.
I've got it set up there. No, it's just kind of focused on them.
So we'll start.
Yeah.
How we doing, guys? We've actually made it. We're actually here.
Yeah.
We're actually making it happen. So, as most of the guys know, with the reels, we're starting a podcast. Can you just tell us what the podcast is about?
The podcast is about the two of us meeting together. We've actually known each other for quite some time
Right.
through life, personally and through business as well. But our life stories have been quite similar to an extent. But getting together, obviously, just to try and bring something out to the public, because there's a lot of things that are happening for the younger youth and everything else. So we decided to, obviously, we've had a lot of talks and chats beforehand, and both of us being entrepreneurs and both of us having similar kind of backgrounds. We decided to put something together so that we could kind of help folk out, really.
So what you're really saying is we're obviously, like you said, your background, entrepreneurs, you're looking to help the younger generation.
Yep.
That's the audience we're looking to target.
Yeah, so kind of broader demographic than just the younger folk. I think even people our age, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, you want to add to that?
You've obviously worked with the younger people, don't you?
Yeah, I've done quite a bit of youth work.
So what kind of things do you see in young people when you first take them on?
Well, lack of confidence. They're not very confident in themselves.
Is that due to their upbringing, or is that just the
No,
nature?
probably just dealing with certain dynamics within the household, within society. I think that young men in particular facing some difficult times.
I would agree.
Yeah, and I think without the right role models out there, I think it's going to be a problem for everyone.
Of course, and you're even seeing that on social media yourself. You've maybe seen videos of young guys maybe at the weekend drinking, and that starts, especially in Glasgow, at a young age.
Yeah, the thing is, we lack role models in it.
Of course, aye, a lot.
So when you've not got positive role models in society, you look outside of society.
Of course.
And I think you resonate with people within your community. And if you don't find that, then you'll go to another community, or you go to another country, or you go to another society, and pick up things that might not be applicable to you. So we're from Glasgow. He's got a little bit of history here. He's an entrepreneur. I've got business. I've been doing it 20 years. I don't think either one of us got fed with a golden spoon. I think we built a silver spoon, golden spoon, whatever. Yeah, we went through life and picked ourselves up and got to where we are. Hard work pays off. Halal work pays off. But anyway, yeah. So we're here to tell our story, and at the same time, I think there's a lot of things happening around the world that need to be addressed, and maybe our interpretation of those events could, be unique in their own way, strike a chord with somebody. And I've got a vision. I'm a visionary. I think of things and I look at things, ask why. And maybe my why, the answer might fulfill you, might fulfill someone else. But yeah, let's see.
We'll obviously touch more of that when we start the podcast.
I mean, the one I add to that is basically there's a lot of people with a lot of kind of mental health problems as well. And we want to touch on that because it's very, very important. It becomes a blockage for people, especially in business, especially in life. They go through hardships. They may have blockages through financial. They may have anxieties, issues, family problems, all these things. And with every hardship, to be honest with you, there comes ease at the end of it, right? So what I found anyway, with every hardship, you get hardships every 1, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. For me, it's every year near enough, right? However, with every hardship, there's blessings. It's a spiritual cleansing. That's what I feel, right? So these things can last, right? But the antidote to that is to make it to quicken the process, because you've got to go through that cleansing. There's the reason behind it. You want to go through a hardship, but at the end of it, there's a blessing. So what's the seed for the blessing? So the blessing is, there's something at the end of that. So the hardship's it's going to be temporary, right? So what I found is, if you're thankful because you're getting cleansed, you're grateful, and you're asking God, Creator, for guidance. When you go through that, once that hardship ends, and it does end, it's a new day, right? And then once you look at those limitations, because during that hardship you find that there's limitations. Your mind becomes limited. There's limitations to do X, Y, and Z because you're going through this. But when you have that format, when you come through that with those steps, it opens up. It becomes unlimited now, because now you can start looking at attracting finance, money, happiness, love, care, and then the cycle returns again. But it's getting through that. Do you know what I mean? It's that threshold. You need to break. The problem that I've seen is a lot of people get stuck in that. And they can't break through.
I think some of the problems is as well, guys don't really talk to anybody.
Yep.
And it's good that you will be there telling part of your stories and letting other people see that it's not just them that are going through tough times, because everybody's done it. I've done it myself. I was in a workplace where I was really stressed. I had to take time off. I was taking sertraline, which is probably the most known tablet for any young guy or woman. You probably walk by loads of people in a supermarket and most people will be taking the tablets. And now I don't take the tablets. I get up every morning. I turn up at my work. The UAS. So appreciate the obviously the opportunity. and things are moving, like you says.
There's a lot of things that can be covered.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of aspects that, you know, we can resonate with, relate to. But main purpose of the podcast is aimed at young men, I think, innit? Young men, and giving them practical advice on how to kind of stand up on their feet, always get up, always stand up, regardless of whatever comes in your way. But get up, practical advice, because some of us have been to hell and back. I'm one of them, you know.
Yep.
So I use spirituality and physical fitness as a way to keep the force going. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, a lot of the stats out there show that mental health and suicide rates amongst young men is the highest it's ever been. And these things, I think, if we've got, the way you gauge a society is by looking at what their teenagers are up to. That's how you gauge a society, because they're the next up and coming.
Of course.
So we've got a big game getting played by the dark forces, and that game is to basically destroy the family unit, demasculinize men, empower women.
Yep.
I don't personally believe that one is superior to the other. I believe everybody is ordained by God in their own way. I don't believe any law or anybody should be above anybody. I think you just live the way your genetics and the way your DNA is designed you to live.
Yep.
And I think anything that kind of messes with that has an agenda. What's the agenda? Why do they want to mess with that? Natural law. So the agenda, I believe, is to destroy the family unit and create problems. And I'm going to say it, like, I've got a feeling that as a Muslim, the scholars have agreed that we're living at the end of times. So there's a dark forces at work, and if you're not part of the dark, if you're not part of the light, you must be part of the darkness. So if you don't stand up for what you believe, you'll fall for everything.
Yep.
Right.
Totally agree.
So the dark forces that are at work, the minions are out there worshipping the Dajjal, but then you've got people like us who are trying our best. Before we go out, we're going to try to enlighten and empower the young men. So if the swords need to be taken out, not literally, right?
Course not.
But if the swords need to be taken out, right, on the battlefield, right? If the swords need, no, but let me finish. Listen. A lot worse things happen.
But I agree.
If the spiritual sword needs to come out, if it needs to come out and we need to fight, first you fight within yourself. You battle within yourself, you get the tools, and then you proceed. But obviously, I'm just saying, there's a spiritual war taking place, and we need to be aware of these things. And I think God has put us here for a reason, and this podcast is taking place for a reason, because without God's permission, this would not be happening. So there's a reason why everybody's here today, and inshallah ta'ala, with the blessing of God, we will be able to empower some young man out there that's going through the darkness, and he gets up and he goes, yes, I'm going to win today. You know what I mean? Because I tell you something. So I've been doing my Facebook campaign for the past 5 years. It's regarding my mental health, right? And about some dark times I've had, and practical stuff I've done to get out of that. So I know quite a lot about how the brain functions, how the body functions, blah, blah, blah. However, I have had an immense amount of people contact me regarding their children. We have got projects in place that if anybody out there needs any guidance, needs any help, we've got projects in place. They need to be sincere, because if they're not sincere, it's just the parents need to be sincere. If the parents are sincere, there's projects in place. There's young men out there that are willing to help, right? In Glasgow, in Glasgow, and we're here to highlight that two powers are coming together. And God has put us in this position, because I didn't really know you until you started coming to pray Fajr at the mosque. Even though we have our background is from the West End, you knew my brothers, but I didn't really know you much. And then me and him, we started to pray Fajr together, and any dua that's made at Fajr is very powerful. So maybe we've made some duas, and God has put us here now, because look, we've got an audience, we've got a director, we've got Mr. Director Part 2 here as well. We've got everybody here, alhamdulillah. So
I'm just going to second that. Actually, he's 100% right. To be honest with you,
look
Yeah.
we were sitting.
So
we were
we're kind of
at the mosque separately and then together, and now
we're kind of blessed anyway, right?
Danny's here as well.
The Navid Haq himself, to be honest with you, I tried to contact this guy because I'd been watching his stuff. I was quite a big fan of his stuff, even though we personally met, but we weren't really friendly. I knew his brothers, and my son had, he's got anxiety issues as well. So I was looking for a kind of stroke mentor, right? So meaning somebody that could probably give him that. Step outside, give him the, to help him along, help him develop really. So I contacted Navid and through Messenger. I don't know if you remember this. So I contacted him, and basically I think it took 2 days for him to get back to me. And then on the third day, I said, "Look, it's about my son." Da, 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 da. And he said, "Yeah, just let's meet at Fajr." It said Glasgow Central Mosque. I'm thinking that must be his meeting ground. And I said, why not? And took Fiaz there. And from that day, this guy's absolutely turned my son around. I mean, he was already, my son's, alhamdulillah, beautiful. But he needed that extra kick, to get him in shape and get him to think proper, And these guys have been...
Discipline. Children lack discipline.
And I'll tell you something, right? So no matter who my son has been around, myself, my brother, the kind of scope in which Nav has kind of given him is giving him that extra edge. And that's not just about physicality training, that's about mindset. Like how to actually just overcome things, which is really, really important for and he's only 14 years old. Now he's got the confidence. I mean, he has anxiety, right enough, but confidence to actually talk to people quite easily. I mean, if you speak to him, you wouldn't think he's 14. His kind of level of conversation is like well above that, and that's all down to Mr. Navid Haq here.
But then I think exercise, getting out, doing different things has probably brought him out his shelf as well. Would you say that?
Yeah, 100%.
And it's again, that's what young guys don't have. Young guys, like I know when I grew up, we were hanging about the street, but don't get me wrong, there was a lot of us. But guys nowadays are stuck on a computer, or maybe in their own wee bubble, and it's just different.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the mindset that he wants to work for himself, entrepreneurship. He's got that.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the kind of self-discipline to an extent where if he wants to put his mind to something, he'll do that. So basically, when I look at that, that's our audience really. If I didn't bring him to the mentor, he would have been stuck in the house. Yeah, Dad, I want to be an entrepreneur, but you go and do all the work, Dad, and I'll just wait until you just hand it to me. That's what it would have been, right? But I said, no, you need to develop yourself. I will hand it to you at some point because, who am I going to hand it to, right?
Happens,
but you still need to be ready and prepared. You need to be prepared not just in your kind of schoolwork, you need to be prepared mentally, you need to be prepared for the world, you need to be prepared for challenges, hardships. But how am I going to give you that while I'm working in your house or whatever?
Of course.
So that's where Navid Haq came along and basically gave him that step to say, look, it's whatever comes your way, whatever you get hit with, there's a higher power, there's God, there's spirituality, there's being appreciative, there's been asking for guidance, there's all this kind of things, and all these things help overcome all that.
Of course.
And then the next step obviously is some of the things, the daily things that are happening just around us,
So yeah, we're going to be touching on also like trending topics. So I've got one that I want to tell everyone about.
Right.
It's annoying me, okay?
Okay.
So basically, I've been in business for 20 odd years.
Yep.
I've never seen the economy this bad. So I've got some stats I want to just go with everybody because I've been saying it to everyone. I think I need it off my chest again, right? So since COVID, right? 3 years after COVID, the national debt for the UK increased by £1 trillion on top of what we already owed. So we took £1 trillion worth of debt. So that £1 trillion didn't trickle down into my pocket. In fact, if they did a survey and they asked the population, like, are you any richer than what you were before? they went the worse off. So where did that £1 trillion go? Okay,
You've got stats on that.
I've got stats. I've got stats. I've been checking it out in the morning. Right, I was checking it out in the morning. So the debt, 2019 to 2020, the debt was 1.9 trillion. Post-COVID, 23-24, the debt increased to 2.9 million, increased by $1 trillion. Right? So if you were to divide that by the population of the UK, that's about £15,000 per head. Nobody, when they did the survey, nobody's wealth increased by that much.
No.
Not at all. But I tell you whose wealth did. But so in the first year of COVID, there was so the first year of COVID, Shell recorded profits of, well, first year after the Ukraine war, sorry, Shell recorded profits of 39 billion. And see the billionaires in the first year of COVID, the average billionaire, their wealth increased by 360 million.
It's a lot of money.
Aye. I don't know if I've explained this right, but basically, to cut a long story short, the rich have got richer, right? The poor are sitting here, we're trying, not that there's anything to be ashamed of, but they're not seeing us in the same light. And so there's an elite of people out there, and those 5 women that went to that fake space, wherever they went, they're trying to make it out like they're living this life, but they must think they're stupid believing that stuff. So basically, the economy is in a bad situation.
But see, I can touch on this. So obviously, as you guys know, I follow the markets, and like, and you're right, it is a shit show. Like, the American debts went through the roof. The only thing that happens is that every 4 years they print a shitload of money, and us guys don't see it. The only thing that really goes up is house prices. The dollar and the pound goes down, and it is really affecting everyone.
Well, to touch on that, what Navid was talking about is he's just touched on. I mean, it's a bigger format than that. He's just touched on it. And obviously, during the podcast, we'll kind of dig a bit deeper, right? But really, it's to wipe out the middle class, right? Wipe out the middle class, wipe out small businesses, keep the bigger, like you said, keep the rich richer. The bigger players, all these big conglomerates, all the kind of big Starbucks and all these kind of places, they're just going to get bigger. And what's going to happen is all the shopkeepers, smaller ones, small, medium business, enterprise, whatever they want to call them, they're just going to get wiped out. So the idea behind it is you're going to have two scenarios, one absolute scale from one spectrum to another. And in reality, it's just to keep us more docile, to be a bit more, you know, they're in control of us. Money printing, which we just touched on. Now, if they're printing money, right, with nothing backed against it, meaning there's no gold sovereign backed against the money printing, and the world economy is based upon the US dollar. The US dollar is the pegged currency against every other currency, right? But if the US dollar is not backed with gold, which it isn't since 1971, they unplugged it. They've done it deliberately. And since it's been that time period from that point to now, they're just printing money. The US debt, now I've touched on the UK debt. I would touch on the US debt now, which is 33 trillion, right? They're not going to pay that back. They've got no intention to pay it back because they're not going to. Because you know why they're not going to? Because it is a money printing scheme. It's a Ponzi scheme, right? The whole thing's a Ponzi, right? Now, what I see, well, obviously we'll talk about more in the podcast, but there are going to be massive events happening in the next, between now, 3, 5, 10 years, that are going to blow everyone's mind if you were to talk about it. They're coming, right? So, yeah, sorry, question.
I have a question, like you're talking about people making money during COVID. Well, at that time, some of the governments have been taking advantage of the ordinary people because they have been given contracts for things that were needed in COVID, like masks, sanitizers. They were giving all these contracts to people that they knew.
So can you just say that again?
Sorry,
Start again.
Sorry, you were talking about how people made money during COVID and it didn't go back to the ordinary person. But during that period, the people that were in charge were making money because they were giving contracts of things that were needed in COVID, like masks, sanitizers, to people that they knew so that they would make money and they would pass it down to them. So they had, like, at that time, I think it was a Conservative government. So their MPs and politicians were giving contracts to things that were totally needed to their own friends. And they also had like percentages in those companies, so that the ordinary person couldn't open up a mask factory because the contract had already been given. The person who thought, oh, we need sanitizer, so the people that were making sanitizers, they were taxed more, and the government people got the contracts. So they were actually honing in on this because they were used to doing it,
Yeah.
because they were used to making
The
money.
whole COVID was
people's-
listen. The whole COVID was a scam. COVID was a scam.
No, actually, I'm a doctor.
Yeah,
And
but I think
that COVID was real.
no, I think COVID. Maybe you've got problems that happen, diseases that go on, but what COVID represented, the fear, the robbery,
Yeah.
all of that
Yep. The people
was
took
not real.
advantage
That was a
of it.
scam.
Mhm.
I believe people fall ill.
Mhm.
People fall ill. There's all sorts of germs that happen.
Yep.
But so you call it COVID, call it just not feeling well. I don't know. But see that COVID, what it represents to me, lockdown, masks,
Yep.
scams.
Yep.
Touching upon what you're saying very quickly, right?
Mhm.
So I've got a shop in Finniston, Argyll Street,
Mhm.
and we're trying to recover from what's been happening with the lockdown stuff. And they gave us a period of time we could open. So one day I open up a shop, my staff are coming in, and I see these cones outside preventing people from parking, right? Why are they? It's already difficult times. Why are they now putting these bloody cones all up along the street?
Mhm.
So I phoned up the council and I said to the council, I says, why have you came out? Because they're meant to give you some sort of warning. If they're doing any work outside, the council give you notice about parking. Says, you have just disturbed any customers that I was going to get are not going to come now because they can't park anywhere. They can't park in the residence spots. You've just, the full road, the full main road is full of cones. And they went, that's not us. So I went, who is it then? You go, that's a private firm.
Exactly. That's
So
what
see,
happened. Mhm.
so see small things like that.
Mhm. Exactly.
So the council obviously got a wee backhander, right?
Mhm.
They did what they thought, but these are private firms that probably just started up from nowhere.
Mhm.
They got a wee earner at the side,
Mhm.
and they came out, put a little stupid little cones up through the night, probably one used van or truck or whatever, and they scammed you for thousands and thousands and thousands. So as COVID to me, what it represents is a scam. However, the medical side is obviously I'm not a professional,
Yeah.
but I had it once and that was it.
Yeah, COVID was actually was its real name is something letters, but it was a virus that caused two things. Yeah, it was a virus that caused two things in the body: one, clotting of blood, and two, mucus increase in your lungs. So not only was it attacking one system, it was attacking two systems. So when they were trying to find the cure for it, that's what was stopping them, because they didn't think it was attacking two systems. Everybody capitalized.
COVID
So
thing,
this is why I was coming back to your like financial difficulties happening and things like that. Is because some people's mindsets from the background are capitalizing very, very like quickly on other people's disadvantages.
So I just want to touch on the COVID thing, just one little kind of thing, and amongst all that, obviously the COVID thing, the infection and all that is real, the the illness and things like that. But one thing people tend to forget, apart from all that, apart from the financial and the infection being real, it was man-made. It was through a lab, right? So they've now that's now been confirmed. It was man-made. So what was it man-made for? So it was man-made based upon biological kind of.
Can I touch on that a little bit as well?
On you go.
Yeah, because of wars now in the 20th century, before obviously when gunpowder was first invented, it was invented as a powder. So as technology goes by, biological warfare takes place. And obviously it is right that it was invented in a lab, but it was not meant to go out of that lab unless it was used for warfare. because modern warfare now is, as medicine research gets, people are poisoned, that what are poisons is biological warfare. So things like that are happening, and they will keep on happening
Do
because
you know what they say? Do you know what they say? They say follow the money.
Follow the money.
But
See us.
lots of researchers are
we're just a
clinicians,
little bit of energy on the
biologists.
planet.
Yeah.
We're
If
just a
you-
little bit of energy on the planet, and we're just being used.
Mhm.
And very quickly, right?
Yep.
This cycle is repetitive. It's been happening.
Yep.
So see
Yep.
this cycle of
Yep.
virus,
Mhm.
stroke, scam.
Mhm.
It's been happening for years.
Yep.
So this is
Absolutely.
just a cycle that's repeating
Mhm.
itself,
Yep.
and ultimately everybody's involved,
Mhm.
and it's to basically, it's all about the money.
Exactly. But my way forward is, because I'm a forward thinker like you.
Yeah, good.
My forward thinking is because I don't believe in war at all. I'm
Yeah.
actually anti-bomb,
Yeah.
anti-war, anti-guns, anti-violence, zero tolerance. So for me, the way forward is, first thing, get rid of guns. Go through it that way as well, because although in the UK we're blessed that guns are not allowed here, but in other countries where they are allowed,
Do you know what they're bringing
there's so
in?
much going on
Do you
with
know what
that
they're
as well.
bringing in? Forget banning guns. They're bringing in AI operated, wee little
Exactly.
miniature little things that will just blow you up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. cut.
That was brilliant. I love the energy.
I didn't say too much.
I think so. I was like,